Hi, my name is Skin and I'm going to be answering my most Googled questions. Why are Skunk Anansie called Skunk Anansie? Skunk Anansie are called Skunk Anansie because Bro Anansie is the Bro Anansie, that's a half man, half spider character, a nursery rhyme character that I used to watch on TV in Jamaica when I was little. There was this lovely lady called Miss Lou, and she used to read Bro Anansie stories on television, like a storyteller type of character. So I wanted the name to have something that was kind of to do with my heritage. Cass came up with the name Skunk because he said skunk's a black and white animal in the jungle and nobody wants to bother that animal. Not even a lion will mess with a skunk. So I put them together because I remember Arnold Schwarzenegger saying that people said to him, why didn't you change your name, Mr. Schwarzenegger? And he's like, because it's really difficult to learn, and I think that if you have to learn it, then you'd never forget it. So I kind of took that bit of advice. At the time, everybody was calling themselves Blur, Punk, Elastica, Oasis, these one name things, and so I thought it would make us stand out a bit. Why is Skin called Skin? Okay, good question. Actually, when I was very, very young, I was super, super horribly skinny, and everyone used to call me Skinny. My actual nickname is Skinny, because, in Jamaica, to say somebody's skinny is not a good thing. Say, "Uno maga, uno too skinny." So when I got into the band, I just halved it and called myself Skin, just because I thought it was cooler, to be honest. But the band all called me Skinny. All my friends called me Skinny. Was Skunk Anansie the duck in Masked Singer? Actually, no, Skunk Anansie wasn't the duck in Masked Singer, but I was Skin. I was definitely the duck in Masked Singer. That was the maddest thing I'd ever done in my life. Actually, really difficult thing to do, to sing in those huge outfits. But I kind of just done it because I think people have a bit of a weird impression of me in England. They think I'm this scary 6'4" tall, 6'2" Amazonian scary character that just shouts political things at people all the time. So I just did it to have a change of my image, which kind of it did actually. Was Skin friends with David Bowie? Well, to be honest, I think it's a bit of a stretch to say I was friends with David Bowie. Like, we weren't going around for dinner at each other's houses, but we did do a lot of gigs with him. And we did one summer where he was always asking for Skunk Nancy to support him. So we did a bit of a festival tour, and I hung out with him a lot. And also his wonderful wife, Aman. What is Little Baby Swastika about? Well, that song was about the fact that I saw this tiny little swastika just like 1.5 feet off a wall, and it was all wobbly and it looked like it'd been done by like a 2 or 3 year old, and in my head I thought to myself, who put Little Baby Swastika on the wall? And that became the song, because it's just this questioning the idea of, like, you start them off that young, you indoctrinate them with kind of fascism and racism at such an early age, and that's really what the song is about, and that's how it came about. What is hedonism about? Hedonism is about the first time I fell in love, and to be quite honest, I was treated really badly and I was trashed. It was that situation where when you first fall in love, you give 100% of yourself and you don't realise that you've got to keep a little bit back in case it doesn't work, and I was really crushed for it, and I was treated really badly, and the lyric of the song, just because you feel good doesn't make it right, was about the fact that my first love, my partner, was just doing what she wanted to do and behaving how she wanted to do it because she felt it was okay, because she felt great, and so that was how I summed up the experience. And also it was a bit bitter. I hope you're feeling happy now. It's just, cold bitterness. What does the album name Stush mean? Actually, Stush is a Jamaican way of saying someone's posh, and it was named after our manager because she forced us to make a decision about calling the album. We had to come up with the album title in 5 minutes, so we just said, I'm going to call it after you, we're going to call it Stush. What is Week about? That's a bit of a long story. It's actually about my first proper boyfriend who was quite abusive, and I wrote the song many years later on reflection about that relationship, because after one of the times he hit me, he would always cry and be like all upset, I'm sorry, I'm never going to do it again, And that's where the title came out of, because I felt very strong in the fact that I was getting out of this relationship and it wasn't going to be my life. And weak as I am, I had no tears for him because I was more worried about myself and getting out of it. And so, yeah, that's really what that song is about. When did Skin first cut her hair off? I first cut my hair off in Brixton. My best friend Carol Walker, her boyfriend was a guy called David, and he had a pair of trimmers. And I was just never happy with my hair. Hated it, just never felt good. And I just had this idea, let's just shave it off and start again. And so I got him to come around with his hair clippers, and he wouldn't shave it low enough. I was like, no, shave it lower. And then he was like, no, I'm not shaving it that. I'm not shaving that low. And so I went to a barber's and they cut it lower, but still wouldn't shave it all off. So I had to buy some hair clippers and I did it all by myself, shaved it all off. And then I remember looking in the mirror afterwards and saying to myself, there you are. That's where you are. That's where you've been hiding. Because I just knew I looked good and I felt really comfortable and I felt really happy about it. Was Skunk Anansie grunge or Britpop? Skunk Anansie were neither. Skunk Anansie was Skunk Anansie. We kind of got together after grunge had kind of died. I mean, you could say it died with the death of Kurt Cobain, you could say. Britpop happened all around us, but we were never, ever, ever a Britpop band. Those guys didn't like us and we didn't like them. We were, part of a very kind of resurging, really amazing rock scene. Therapy were part of it, Three Colours Red. There were loads of really amazing rock bands, but there wasn't a rock sound because, like Britpop, those bands were completely different from each other. Like Oasis sounded nothing like Pulp sounded nothing like Swastikkka sounded nothing like Blur. So Britpop didn't have a sound, it was just a bunch of bands that they put together. But we were kind of the outsiders, we were the stinky outsiders that weren't part of it because we weren't the face of what they wanted to call Britpop. We just did our own thing. Does Skin from Skunk Anansie have a book out? Yes, she does. I do have a book out. Actually, it came out today, and it's all very exciting. It's about it's like an alternative story to Britpop. It's about, I guess, how a young skinny black girl from Brixton ended up being in a big rock band, and all of the trials and tribulations of that. Did Skunk Anansie headline Glastonbury? Yes, Skunk Anansie did headline Glastonbury. We were the last band to play the Pyramid Stage in 1999, so that's of the last century. And yeah, it was absolutely amazing and we loved it. How did Skunk Anansie get signed? Skunk Anansie got signed off the back of our second ever gig. Rick Leonard, who was he was the A&R guy for a label called One Little Indian, which I now think they've changed their name to One Little Independent, headed by Derek Burkett, who's from a band from Flux of Pink Indians, amazing band. And we actually got signed the day Kurt Cobain died because Rick was a massive Kurt Cobain fan and Nirvana fan, and he nearly came out. But, he'd promised to come to a gig, so he came to our gig, our second ever gig, and he came to us afterwards and said, I was so upset today and I completely forgot about it because you guys were so good. And any band that could make me forget about one of the most tragic things that ever happened must be good. Who are Skunk Anansie's influences? Well, that's a tricky one. Every band member has completely different influences, which actually is why Skunk Anansie's records sound the way they do. I would say Mark, he loves a bit of Bon Jovi, he likes his cock rock, and he loves his ABBA, he loves pop as well. Ace is Motorhead and Black Sabbath, he loves those bands. Cass is Parliament, Funkadelic, you bet Lenny Kravitz, the kind of groovier, sexier stuff. Definitely threw in some Marcus Miller and some Bootsy Collins with that. And me, I would say Betty Davis, Blondie, Nirvana, Rage Against the Machine. I do love Carole King's Tapestry. I love pop music and I love techno as well. I like to bang out techno tracks. Is Skin a fan of Oasis? Of course I am. I mean, what a band. Absolutely. I love Oasis. Slide Away is probably my favourite song next to Wonderwall, but I just love that track, Slide Away. Can Skin from Skunk Anansie speak Italian? Si. E parlo italiano tutto il tempo. Yeah, I can speak Italian. I learned how to speak Italian for Italian X Factor. I think I had about 6 weeks to get a grasp of the language. And it was one of the most difficult things I'd ever done, namely because I had to learn a language, and then I had to kind of present and be funny in another language, which was also quite difficult. But yeah, I'm a little bit rusty, but yes, I do speak Italian. If you like that video, click here to subscribe to Radio X.
Radio X.